My name is Bruno Wiley. I'm the managing partner of a company, a tourism consulting firm based in Dubai, Catalyst. And I'm very happy to work with the Resilience Council today to share this unique session that addresses the blue economy. And within the blue economy, you have the maritime tourism. I'm very pleased to welcome our panel today. We have Ms. Martini, Deputy Minister of the Minister of Tourism in Indonesia. Thank you, Ms. Martini, to be with us. I have Ms. Francis, Deputy Minister of Tourism of the Seychelles. Thank you very much for being here, Your Excellency. And we have Dr. Will Batman, CEO and Chairman of CCell, a company that does a lot to protect the maritime environment, and we will discuss that today. Ocean-based industries such as fishing, aquaculture, renewable energy, shipping, tourism play obviously a critical role on the global economy. In the same time, they do pose a significant risk on the biodiversity and the sustainability of the ocean. Therefore, a sustainable management of ocean resources is essential to ensure the long-term viability of the ocean. The blue economy, what is the blue economy? In 2020, it was representing $2.5 trillion, which is equivalent to the 8th largest economy, the GDP of the 8th largest economy in the world, 2.5 trillion. And with this 2.5 trillion, 10% is actually the weight of the tourism economy. In some countries, the blue economy actually represents a large part of the GDP, up to 20% in the small island development states. Therefore, the potential economic benefits of the blue economy, and that goes beyond the traditional fishing or shipping, is very much true. A lot of progress has been made in the last 10 years. You know that in 2022, United Nations have agreed to ban again plastic, as we all know that it damaged our oceans. But there's still a lot of things to be done. And given the significant economical and environmental impact of the industry based on the ocean, this balance between the economical growth on one side and the sustainability and the protection of the ocean needs to be found. That is only possible if there's a partnership between governments, NGO, and private sector. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. That's why I was very happy to have representatives from governments and from the private sector today. We will be focusing on the coastal erosion today, specifically on the coastal erosion and its impacts on countries, on communities, and on other things. I will start maybe with you, Will. We keep talking about coastal erosion, and we keep saying that it's very important and it has a significant impact. Can you tell us a little bit more? How big and how serious is the situation?
Hi, thank you everybody for coming. I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was young, my mum used to take us down to the coast and we'd go, make sandcastles and all the rest of it. And when I was there, we used to get really annoyed if someone came up to us another family was within about 10 meters of us. Well, if I go back to that same beach now, the beach itself isn't even 10 meters wide. So there's been quite a dramatic change in that period of time. And if I jump to something a little bit closer to time, to today, and in a totally different area of the world. So here I was in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And I came across this hotel where they were literally shoring up this building using sandbags. And in fact, if you go along that coastline in Playa del Carmen, you'll see a very similar pattern being repeated by many hotels. It's the last sort of ditched attempt to do something. And looking at that hotel, I happened to have a drone with me. I put it up and I took a photograph and went back in Google Maps and discovered what was going on. And just 2 years earlier, they had over 30 to 50 meters of beach in front of their hotel, and they'd lost all of that. And that is quite a dramatic change in literally just 2 years. And digging again a little bit deeper into this as to why that was happening. Globally, waves have been increasing by about 0.41 You know, that's an average. I've been to places where year on year it's been going up by 1, 2, 3, even 4%. And that's huge. It may not seem like much, but if you accumulate that over, say, 10 years, you've then got a change that is, say, 10, 20% increase in wave energy. And that's really what's the cause of the problem. But the waves themselves aren't the full picture. So what I'm showing here is what are called wave-induced currents. So, and I'll just stand up for this, but if you look at as the waves come into shore, they push water up against the land. That water actually has to get away, it has to flow somewhere. And what you create are these beautiful patterns, but they're what are called wave-induced currents. So the waves may come in, they break up the shore, but they don't actually move it anywhere. It's these currents that come along afterwards that actually move that sand in whichever direction those currents are taking it. And for the most part, if you think about the beach, if every day I receive from my neighbor a certain amount of sand and I give away the same amount of sand to my neighbor on my right, everything's great. Is when you get an imbalance cause whereby I receive less sand than the sand that I'm actually giving away. And that's where modeling and looking very carefully at what's actually happening with the currents that you see here is really crucial.
I was going to ask you, is this something that is happening in certain regions of the world?
Yes.
Or does it happen everywhere?
It is. And this is just a very quick picture to show that. I mean, I'm cheating here a little bit. I've just gone to Google. But if you type in beach erosion or sand or coastal erosion, you will see images from every single country around the world, from the UK all the way to Brazil and obviously here over in Asia.
Thank you very much, Will. Miss Martini, can you tell us a little bit what's happening in Indonesia? Yes. What is the situation and what do you do for that?
Thank you. It's great to be here. I don't know how many of you been to Indonesia, but for us, Indonesia blue economy is not a choice, it's a necessity. Why? Because, we have 17,504 islands. So huge, right? So when you talk about coastal areas and beach and everything, and then it's located across the continents, so it rich with biodiversity and marine biodiversities, like 25,000 species biodiversity and 400,000. Meaning we have to protect, we have to conserve, not only for the livelihood of the people, especially, and also tourism. And because I'm from tourism, I came to the conclusion that conservation and tourism can be hand in hand. So we have a lot of example in Indonesia why I come to that conclusion. Here? Okay. So look at this. Manta rays, whale shark, pygmy blue whales are all in Indonesia. And if you want to go there, I can show you where is the best place to do so. And then for coral reefs, this is very paramount in Indonesia. For biological reason, climate change is a carbon sink, coastal protection. If you have coral reefs, and also value for tourism, it draws coral reefs and create beauty, biodiversity, and of course social and economic. These are all why we need to protect. And mangrove, also another one, mangrove forest, and about 25% of mangrove in the world are in Indonesia, 3.36 million hectares. And this support the coastal livelihood for fisheries and also mitigation for climate change. And then we, Indonesia, awarded for World Restoration Initiative. And this is the picture of President last year during G20. We had planting the mangrove because we believe in the use of mangrove to protect the coastal area and the environment. And then Raja Ampat, this is the area that I would like to show you. This is one of the most beautiful, the last promised land on earth, they say. And then just last year in ATM in London, it's awarded the must visit 2023. I don't know about that, the more people to come, maybe not so much to protect, but we can do it. Yeah, it's for unwind destination. The island in Papua is known for crystal clear turquoise, and a lot of shark, whale shark live there, and the pristine ocean and so on and so forth, and coral reef especially. So we want to keep this. We want to make sure that this is a quality and sustainable tourism, because we need to protect. And before we have the initiative, people that live there just take it for granted. They go there and fish, maybe bomb the coral reefs. But now they understand, if they sell manta rays, it's maybe $300. But from the tourism, it can create $15 million. So this stark data that really, and we work a lot, as you said, we work a lot with the local government. That's key. Okay, the challenge, of course, who doesn't have? This is but I think comes with also opportunities. We believe, the Indonesian government believe, sustainability is a long journey, but we can do it together. We start with the basic. We start with ourselves. How can we play a role in this protecting the environment at individual level? Do not throw garbage or plastic, for example. We have to have waste management. Local community involvement is paramount, and stakeholder participation also, as I say, in Papua, in Misol, I'll say you later. This is how it happens. And of course, as travelers, we have to be responsible. Responsible tourists, responsible business, and a lot of educational, like here, on the sea, like even beautiful Labuan Bajo, beautiful Bali, beautiful Lombok. But then if you as a diver go and ruin it, what for? It becomes not an asset but liability. And of course, regulation enforcement is important. We have a few government regulation to enforce this, including ministerial decree from Minister of Tourism, national guideline for sustainable tourism, and also protecting whale shark. I think I want to stop there. I'm mindful of time.
You're staying with us. You're not going. We still need.
Okay.
Miss Francis.
Yes.
The food industry. How much does it impacted by the coastal erosion? Do you have something to say about that? Because we talked about a lot about tourism, but what about the people living there, and how much what's happening on the coast impacts people and the way they can eat and what they can eat?
Yeah. Well, because we have long coastal areas, so the livelihood of people really rely on the blue economy, basically. So in terms of, for example, job creation in tourism alone, we have upon 45 million people rely on tourism. 45 million. So then, in terms of the contribution of tourism to the economy, to growth, around 10%. So this is big. So we believe, I don't want to say tourism is low-hanging fruit, but it's really a big role to the economy, especially now. So that's why we want to make sure that we do it sustainably, we protect and conserve, and we work a lot with the stakeholders.
Thank you. What about the Seychelles? What's happening on the Seychelles when it comes to the coast? How serious is the situation?
For those who doesn't know, the Seychelles, we're located in the Indian Ocean. In terms of landmass, we are very small, 455 square kilometers. But in terms of sea territory, our EEZ is 1.5 million square kilometers. So many countries in Europe can fit in our waters. And we have 115 islands grouped into 23 group of islands. We have the inner islands and the outer islands. And the beaches, it's one of our unique selling points. And people who've heard about the Seychelles, normally they know the beaches before they even know Seychelles. I remember there was one piece of information I got access with in 2017, kayak.com. In South America, the third most search word in their search engine was "en sous d'argent." It's a French word, "en sous d'argent," which is basically a beach. a very famous beach in Seychelles. It's one of the most world photographed beach in Seychelles, or nowadays it's called the most Instagrammable beach in the world because of the outstanding rock formation on the beach. So you can just imagine what the beaches means for the Seychelles. With coastal erosion, we see ourselves losing one of our USP. A lot of the beaches nowadays, there are rock armoring built. Unfortunately, sadly, it's like we will be having a necklace, a rock necklace around our islands. Coastal erosion, it is real. It's affecting our islands a lot. Our main island, especially, we see it more on the east coast. Our outer islands, some of them, they've completely almost changed position. If you would take photos of now and say 10 years ago, you would just see some of them have completely changed shape from being round to being long. And it just looks as if it's shifted on one side because it gets eroded on one side and the sand deposit on the other side. But when that happens, you also lose the land biodiversity. You lose the natural habitat of your biodiversity, which there's a lot of other effects that comes with it. We have looked at various solutions, and I think later we will talk about the solutions. And clear example I can give, when we go on world stage and we talk about climate change, we talk about coastal erosions and all those things, of course, we will need a lot of money, millions of dollars in coastal rehabilitation. And for small islands like us, I'm pretty sure other islands that have the same challenges. It's how do you raise this kind of money just for coastal adaptation? But we depend on tourism. This is our mainstay. It contributes largely to our GDP. 2 people out of each household works in the tourism industry. And your sea, your ocean, this is the main attraction. People come to Seychelles for snorkeling, for diving, for fishing, for excursions, for cruising. So we stand to lose a lot in terms of your USPs. Definitely, it is something for us to worry about. And I'm happy at the photos you shared because it reminds me so much of homes. And I can just give clear examples. I live in the south of the main island, Mahe, and most of our roads are coastal roads. So we've been told that we will have to shift our roads further inland in the mountain, our beautiful green mountains that we don't want to touch. Almost at the end of every month when we have the super high tide, I literally have to drive certain part of the coast. You have to drive in seawater when there's the super high tide to get to work or go back home. So while a lot of people are not even acknowledging that this is a problem happening, some of us from island states, we have to change our cars every 2 years because we're driving in seawater. So it's real, it's happening, and we need all the support to find solutions fast.
Thank you. I have a house. I'm lucky enough to have a house in a beautiful country 3 hours from here, Sri Lanka. I bought the house, actually I built the house 10 years ago, and we had a beautiful beach. And we were selling it as a beach resort. There's no more beach today. We have rocks just to protect, trying to protect and make sure that the house doesn't disappear in the next 10 years. Dr. Will, this is pretty stressful. What are the solutions? Are there solutions that exist here today?
Right, I'm going to talk about 3 solutions which I really don't think anyone should do, but these are the 3 main categories of approaches taken at the moment. On the left here, you have what are called hard solutions. I mean, these really haven't changed since the Romans. You go out and find the largest rock you can pick up and haul into the ocean and or make something out of concrete, and you just pile that up until something happens, i.e., you see the waves stopping. It's extraordinarily expensive. I mean, you're looking at $20,000-$30,000 a meter to do that sort of approach. And of course, you're carving rock out of mountains and out of areas which you shouldn't really be hopefully touching. The second major solution is a sticking plaster. This is sort of what's called beach replenishment. You move the sand from the places where it's ended up and you didn't want it, and very often in deeper water, and you just pump it back onto the shore. And it's great. You obviously get a back a beach, but environmentally it is really bad. You're sucking up all sorts of stuff, fish, marine life that's on so pushing it through pumps and blasting it back towards the shoreline. And of course, it doesn't last. I mean, a year or 2 later, a lot of that sand will be gone. And the last solution we've seen in quite prevalent in Mexico is really just an enlarged version of those sandbags I showed you earlier. So they are huge tubes. You place them alongside the shoreline, and yeah, they work. They look horrendous, as you can see. The locals call them a beach whale. The big problem with them is they break down within about 3 to 5 years due to the UV. And you've all heard about plastic pollution. Well, this is plastic pollution on a mega scale. It is really dreadful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Let's see. Go back maybe to the Seychelles. What are the solutions that you have considered in the Seychelles? Can you give us some very practical examples and how much it had impact and change?
Okay, Seychelles, what you see on the photo there are called reef balls. Before this, we have tried various solutions, rock hammering, groins, breakwater, and all this. There's one of our outer island, Day Wash, where we have a luxurious property there, the Four Seasons. And the island was suffering a lot from coastal erosion to the point the front, the villas on the front, the swimming pool and everything was very close to just being eroded away. And the choice was, we will need to do rock hammering or some sort of engineering to the beach. But then that whole shore would lose its appeal. And you have a very luxurious resort there. And one of the reasons people come to this island, it's for its spectacular beaches. So this is where the Island Development Company, who manages, it's a government entity, which manages all the outer islands of the Seychelles. They research a bit of what other solutions they can try and apply without needing to put a rock hammering on the beach. And this is where they came across this. It was being implemented by a company in the Maldives and in America as well. So basically what it is, one size of this ball is like the size of an oil barrel. The mold is made from fiberglass, and they pour concrete, but a special mix of concrete which is ensuring the pH is as the same level as the seawater as well. In there, they had inflatable balls in the mold to make sure that there is space for when it's used as a reef for fishes to be able to go inside and out and make sort of the houses in there. And they've started, the project started in April this year in terms of installing those reef balls. And they expect to surgically place 800 of those reef balls that would complete by the end of this year. Before applying the solution, there were a 3-year study done.
Testing, yeah.
First is basically understanding the whole coastline first, understanding if the materials, it will be compatible to the environment, because it has to be it's supposed to be a long-term solution, and it has to be something that the marine ecosystem will adapt to it as well. And it has also to follow the same pattern as the existing reef that exists. And what it does, it also reinforces the existing reef that exists there. It's been approved by the World Bank as a climate mitigation solution as well. For us, it's a pilot. Of course, we've tried to have done as much research before to just ensure that we get it right, because based on this, it is something that we intend to replicate on other parts, on other islands as well. But we've started with the outer islands precisely because these islands are in most need of urgent solutions, and some of these islands would fast disappear if we don't do anything to try and stop the erosion. So what the reef does, it acts just like any reefs would do. It reduces the surge of waves that crashes directly on the shore. And it's built to mimic your reef, which means it also provides a natural habitat for your fishes as well. And it is placed, as you see, in water. Even at low tide, you don't really see it submerging over water. So that, again, like I said, it acts like a natural reef, except that it's artificial.
When do you expect to have the result? In just one date?
I don't think you would see the result right away, because, like I said, the project is expected to be completed in December.
3 to 5 years?
It will take some time, because now you need basically the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change would need to observe the pattern of the waves. And like, I like how you had these two photos to show the before and after. So probably what they will do is they will keep having photos of various periods in the year to just see the before and progressively after how this is also the results.
We look forward looking at the result next year during the
I
ATM.
hope
Hopefully
next year when
you
I
will
have
be
the
there.
ATM, I'll have something to share, updates. Yes.
Dr. Will, you have a different solution, I guess. Your company is a startup, and you're coming up with a solution that is very interesting too. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I mean, like reef balls, we're all trying to effectively do the same thing, but the bit that we need to take inspiration from is something that nature's been doing for a very long time, and it is coral reefs. So where you see this wall of white water, the waves are breaking far out at sea, so by the time that energy or the waves get towards the shore, they've long since dispersed, and you've got very little energy reaching the actual shoreline. And we know from millions of years thousands of years of history that coral reefs work. The Maldives Islands wouldn't exist without them. So our solution is really broken up into three parts. First is about breaking the waves, and we've discussed that. The second part is about the marine habitat. Whatever you do, you have to create something that's actually working in sympathy or whatever with the marine life. They're crucially a vital element to it. The last part to what we do is also around sort of marine intelligence. It's actually data monitoring and measuring. If we are going to actively work with nature, we need to understand it. And bizarrely, we know very little about our oceans, particularly in our nearshore oceans. So this is an example of our sort of reefs. So we start with a very lightweight, simple structure. We don't need, when we're using a digger here to pick up the structure, but we don't need large boats to deploy our units, and we float them into position. What we then crucially do is we then grow rock around those structures to actually build out the bulk in order to create something that can actually resist the waves and offer up a suitable solution. We take minerals that are actually naturally found in the seawater, and using a process called electrolysis, we build rock around that structure. We only do that for about 4 months, and you can arguably do that in a marina and then take the units out, or you can do that in situ if you're close enough to the shore. The remainder of that first year is then really about marine recruitment. You've got to start thinking about marine life right from the offset. So we want to get, everything from barnacles through to oysters or mussels attaching onto our structures, because they're going to be the long-term solution. Long after I've died, you want a structure that actually is going to remain there, and it's going to be these natural organisms such as corals that are going to provide that longer term thing. So we're there just to provide the initial sort of skeleton, the building blocks. And this is an example of what we've been doing in Telchec in Mexico. So this is a 120-meter reef. It was powered from solar panels that we had on the shoreline. And within a year, we were starting to see very positive results in terms of the beach replenishment.
Thank you. You want to develop yourself in the region, Dr. Will. That may be my last question for you. What do you need? How is you developing in the region, and what kind of support? Do you need investors? You're a startup, you mentioned that. You need investors, you need partners, you need clients?
We kind of need all three, of course. You know, when we're working in any of our projects, we always work with the local industries. You know, we don't want to manufacture our stuff in the UK. We want to manufacture locally. We want to use local teams to actually install and manage the reefs. I mean, it's a crucial element of our business model. But we also need local actors. We need people who understand the governments, who understand the hotels, or the people, you know, the communities who are going to benefit from the solutions. Obviously, as a small company, investment is welcome, particularly as we want to grow, you know, the deployment of what we're doing out across the world, particularly here to the Middle East and into Asia. And then finally, I mean, one of the main reasons we're here is the hotel sector has a humongous part to play. You know, they have a huge number of properties in prime resorts. And as you said earlier, you know, it's coastal protection very often is very ugly, but it doesn't need to be. If it's done correctly, we believe you can install reefs that actually, at least for the hotels, provide an underwater museum at the footstep of the hotel. So you've got to turn it into a benefit.
Thank you. 3, all of them. Miss Martini, if you had one wish for the future, what do you would like the whole world, United Nations, us as in the travel industry to think and to focus? Any areas, any idea?
Wish for the future. I think I want to say we have these blessings, right? Indonesia, I'm speaking of Indonesia, 17,500 islands. You need to protect. You need to conserve. In order to do that, actually, our local wisdom, we have this whole concept of sustainability. In Bali, for example, they call it Trihita Karana. The combination, the balance between you as human being with God, and so that you need to respect human being and protect the environment. Very simple. So, but often it's lost, right, over there. So our wish as government, like, hey, education. We need to educate our children. This is so important at young age that you protect, you know, be it on waste, be it on coral reefs. So that's why a lot of now initiative in Indonesia about coral reef. You go and they never seen it. Just go by there and then with the family go and holidaying and then plan regenerative tourism. What we call it. There are a lot of them. We are supporting them. I think this is very important. Otherwise, if you don't protect, who would? So really, our waste is very simple. Just do not destroy it.
Do not destroy. I think that goes for everyone here. Miss Francis, for the Seychelles, a wish or project that you found very interesting or that you're very proud that you're going to be starting in the future?
For me, a wish. It's like genie in a bottle there. I have just one wish. I have to make sure I get that wish right. But it's about awareness, education, climate change, coastal erosion, sustainability, and all those things. There is this tendency to think that it's a government problem, so it needs government intervention and government solutions, at least from where I come from. Like, for example, the project I've given example, it's being funded by the government, where one property exists on that island. There's one hotel property on that island. Why not it being driven by the private sector. We are all in this together. If we lose these islands, it's a loss for the country, not just for the government. Private sectors tend to lose as much. So my wish is to create more awareness. The problem of financing, the problem of getting the right kind of project in place. If there's the right kind of sensitization and people understand what's at stake, I think we will get the other solutions. It will come once we are able to get everybody on board at the same level. It's not a government problem and a government-only solution. Everybody needs to come in on this if we want to win this fight.
This is exactly what we were trying to do today. We had just a few minutes to discuss it. The collaboration, the partnership between government, NGO, private sectors, innovators, founders of new companies is essential. This is how the future will be better. Thank you very much for your presence today. It was a great time. I hope you enjoyed the discussion, and I look forward to seeing you next year to see the progress of all the policies that you put in place. Thank you very much.